Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know that we look at different issues that's affecting not only Australia, but they could have wider ramifications. One of those ramifications and wider issues was a High Court ruling that occurred today regarding media and Facebook. Matt Doran wrote an article for the ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, that is shedding some concern about public Facebook pages being liable for defamatory comments, because this is what the High Court has ruled this week. So this implies, this has far-reaching implications, because if you run a public Facebook page and somebody leaves a defamatory comment on it, based on what the High Court has ruled, you could be liable for defamation. Now, this is Facebook. What does this have? What effect does this have on all of social media? And this is the question, and this is the concern that I have, because while it's been ruled on Facebook, does this now open the floodgates for defamation lawsuits to occur on other social media platforms? And now, am I, as a content creator, going to have to censor comments left on my page? Now, I don't believe in censoring comments. There are negative comments left on my page all the time, and they're there. And I leave them there because I want people to see, I believe that you have a right to your opinion. I believe that you have a right to say what you think, even if you don't agree with me. And that's fine. However, what does this mean? What does this High Court ruling mean for any of this? Are we going to have to now moderate and make sure that every comment left on our page is not defamatory? So let's have a look at what Michael Doran said. So he has written here, Facebook defamation ruling. Sorry, it's not even up. A Facebook defamation ruling by High Court exposes all page owners to lawsuits, not just the media. So as much as social media has helped us stay connected, particularly in lockdown, it's become a home for vile and questionable commentary. This is the other thing, is now commentary channels or commentary pages or things that people comment on, like me, are we now in danger of this as well? There's far-reaching ramifications from this. The High Court this week weighed into that issue in a way when it ruled that media companies are liable for any comments from the general public on posts they put on Facebook. The case before the High Court directly involves some of the nation's biggest media organisations, but the consequences reach far beyond Australia's newsrooms. If you're an admin of your brand's Facebook page or the local football club or your own small business, it will matter to you too. And this is why News Corp and Fairfax, the latter owned by Nine, wanted a ruling on whether they could be held liable if defamatory comments were made by the public on their Facebook posts. The issue arose after Dylan Voller, whose case of mistreatment at the Dondale Youth Detention Centre sparked a royal commission, claimed he'd been defamed by comments posted by comments under posts by the Australian and the Sydney Morning Herald. So the comments weren't by these papers. They were written on the pages by the general public. This is the issue. Whether those comments actually defamed Mr. Voller hasn't been decided yet. The High Court put that on hold. But the court found that the media organisations were in fact legally responsible for comments on their pages, even though they played no part in drafting the remarks, because they had effectively facilitated the comments being posted. Wow, that is a big ruling. So it says rulings means victims can skip the trolls and pursue page owners. In a case that was about traditional media using online platforms, it's easier to understand how it applies to journalists. The message from the High Court is that if a company wants a presence on social media, it's also responsible for moderating the content made in response to its posts. Communications law expert Brett Walker from the Australian National University said the decision had broader consequences. So these are the consequences that Brett Walker has laid out. Any organisation which administers a social media account could be liable for defamation on the same basis. For example, businesses, sporting clubs, and community groups. The decision gives potential plaintiffs, such as Mr. Voller, the choice of tracking down the anonymous person who made the defamatory comment and taking action against them, or going straight to the publisher, i.e. the owner of the Facebook account. Now, we're actually seeing this also play out in the Barilaro Shanks matter as well, if you think about it, because not only is Barilaro suing Shanks, who made the comments, he's suing Google, who he has said has published the comments. You see? Whether this is going to have any effect on that matter, I don't know. However, the broader scope of the matter is that it would seem that if you put something up and people can comment on it, you can be liable for what is said, essentially, is what they're saying. Mr. Walker argued the decision could let individuals who make harmful comments off the hook and instead put the onus on those running a Facebook page to police the content posted to it by others. That is correct. So the people can go and make comments, but the person that's publishing it. So for people in New South Wales, South Australia, Victoria, Queensland, and the ACT, anyone threatened with a defamation lawsuit will at least have a chance to resolve the issue before it heads to court. Great. Recent changes to defamation laws in those jurisdictions require a plaintiff to give at least 2 weeks' notice of their intention to take action. This provides publisher with an opportunity to remove the offending material quickly to limit potential harm. These changes also include a serious harm threshold to provide greater protection for comments that, while offensive, may not cause serious harm to a person's reputation. So there is some good news, because they have changed part of the defamation law that says now you have to give 2 weeks notice and sort of try and resolve it before you go into court. However, there's always a however. Even though this ruling can seemingly apply to anyone in Australia, it's worth looking at the media as an example, in particular, smaller news organisations such as those in regional areas. Christy Hess, Associate Professor of Communications at Deakin University, said it pretty much puts pressure on outlets to devote precious time and editing to moderating the comments online. All local newspaper providers are strapped for resources. I'd probably prefer a local newspaper to be producing content than having to moderate comments. This will be the challenge for independent media organisations. Now, the other thing is, what they will do is they will just post articles and where you won't be able to leave comments. Lachelle Earle is the editor of the South East Voice, an independent newspaper based in Mount Gambier in South Australia's southeast. She said her team of 15 staff were already hot on moderating content on social media platforms. We're hyper aware that we live in a small community and lots of people are connected. We're not frightened to be heavy-handed in moderating, and we would always err on the side of caution. Despite already putting it into practice, Ms. Earle said the High Court's ruling cemented her view that media outlets should be responsible for the public discourse they encourage. Since March, Facebook has allowed comments to be disabled on its platform, but Ms. Hess believes the media can take steps to improve the atmosphere on social media and lead by example without switching off comments. We need to clean up public discourse. It's been a cesspool. There is a role for the media to facilitate that discussion about what's acceptable. So let me ask you, how do you feel about this decision by the High Court? Have we now opened up the floodgates of people now being able to sue? Does this have wider ramifications as a whole for all of social media? Do we have to, or do I now have to get heavy-handed with my moderating? And let me tell you, it takes a lot of time to go through each comment and moderate every comment. That means that if you have to spend your time moderating comments, that's less content you can put out, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So tell me how you feel about this. What do you think? This, of course, is in Australia. I don't know. I mean, Facebook is an international platform. So Is this going to have worldwide implications? Is this something we're going to see worldwide? Is this something we're going to see across multiple platforms? I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are. So leave me a comment below, hit like, subscribe, all the YouTubey stuff. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.